Welcome to episode 5 of Voices from the Castle. Today's episode is all about students. I have 3 special guests with me today here in the studio, and we're just going to talk all things Tyler Consolidated High School. So we're going to start by going around the room, just allow the students to introduce themselves, tell a little bit about what they do and what grade they're in, and we'll go from there.
My name is Ethan. I am a senior in Tyler Consolidated High School, and I think, I've. What was the question?
What do you like to do outside of school?
I like to write. I like to write stories and poems, and play games, and just kind of trying to get some enjoyment where I can.
Gotcha.
I'm Echo Smith. I'm a junior. Outside of school, I'm probably writing or playing video games. I like all sorts of video games. Really, you can learn a lot, from time to time. So, very informational.
I am Macy Schumann. I do not like to write. That's something I prefer not to do. I do love to travel. I like to see the world. I live by a motto that's maybe you can't explore the world, but you can eat all the food from around the world. So that's definitely something I like to do. I'm never afraid to try new things or things like that. Other than that, I'm very involved, I would say, in our school. I'm part of many clubs and sports, things like that.
Okay. So the first question, Tyler Consolidated High School. Just describe to me in 3 words your feelings about Tyler Consolidated High School. 3 words.
Say if I had to describe the school in 3 words, I'd probably have to go with adaptable. My tongue. Oh my god.
Someone else chime in. It's okay.
Yeah.
I would probably say we're very diligent, very dedicated, and just all around hardworking.
Okay.
They're studious.
Studious. That's a good word. That's a good word.
I'd say we're definitely involved in everything. We're very large, and we have a good community.
Yeah, good community involvement. Yeah, I feel like it's a small school feel with we continue to get more and more students
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
classrooms. Yep, for sure. So how would you describe, and any of you feel free to answer, how would you describe the school atmosphere? Do you feel supported? Do you feel safe here at Tyler Consolidated High School? So what's your thoughts?
Something that I find nice about this school in particular is the fact that you have. There, in a lot of other schools I've been to, there are a lot of teachers that I really disliked. But in this school, something that I really find interesting is that I don't actually really dislike a lot of the teachers and staff. Now, some of them I don't as much enjoy the way they teach. But in terms of the people that are hired on, I think that the school's done a really good job of making an atmosphere that is, it's really just, it helps in just making sure that everybody's learning. That is what we're here to do,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say there's a really, really strong staff. They're very supportive, always helping if you need it, and very communicative always.
Mm-hmm.
Not just with the staff, but just how many different opportunities we have here. There's always something for somebody to be doing or to be involved in. And I really feel like your teachers reach out and try to make you be involved and get involved in anything possible. And they're always there for help and guidance when needed.
I will agree with that. There is a strong push to be enrolled in something or other, which I think is good. I mean, even if you're not in a bunch of different things, if you don't have the time or the energy to do it, there is a push to at least just be in something, which I think is really, considering how small our student body is compared to a lot of other schools that have all of these opportunities, it really is. It's just nice that there are so many different things for so many different people, despite our relatively small size with students.
Right. And research shows in education, if kids are involved and are a part of something in their school, then they're more likely to to come to school for one, and two, be successful in the things they do at school. So that's really is a push here at Tyler and Sullivan High School and Tyler County schools in general. You have to come to school to learn, right? You have to be a part of it. You might as well be a part of the environment that you're in. And, that's good to hear from you guys that you feel that way. Do you feel like, as a student, do you feel like you're heard? Do you feel like when you say something or you feel like something needs to be changed with the school, whether it's culture, whether it's a program, whether it's a class, whether it's an issue that you all see, do you feel like your voices are heard? So if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, that'd be great.
I mean, I think that there are always places that can be improved in terms of this, but in the compared to a lot of other schools that I've heard about, and again, these are just stuff. It's stuff I've heard. It's nothing that's concrete, but it seems like we do a much better job than a lot of other places at entertaining some of the ideas that students have. I mean, it's not solely a staff-run thing. There are a lot of activities and a lot of programs that I've seen that have been massively improved by the students, by suggestions, or through direct action of the people that are doing it, of the kids.
Yeah.
And all three of us were a part of something called Advisory Council, and we're kind of the voices of those that don't want to speak up. And me personally, I feel like I have a pretty loud mouth. I like to share my opinion, and I'm not afraid to get shut down, but I'm definitely there to hear everybody out about anything. And I feel like Mr. Morris here at the high school has definitely made that possible with this advisory council. He's always willing to hear us out, and we've brought problems up, and he's always talked us through them. And
and even if there's nothing that can be done, or if it's something that might be infeasible, or if it just doesn't work, it's still heard. Nothing's just completely like tossed away. You still do get somebody. Mr. Morris will still absolutely hear you out, even if he can't do it.
Nice.
Yeah, he always puts it into consideration, and I think that's important.
Sure. So let's have a little fun. If you were in charge of the school or the school system, and I said, design a class or program that you think would be the most beneficial for students moving forward in their lives. If we don't have that program, what would it be? If we do have that program already in place, what is it? And kind of just tell me what that class looks like and why it is so important to what you're going to do in the future.
I feel like, in my opinion, a program that we already have to build on my own future would be our business program. It's only been a thing for 3 years here, but I've definitely learned a lot. I think Miss Yost focuses a lot on work ethic and not just the business side of things. She really shows you that, like, the work that you do put in, it does have outcomes, good or bad sometimes. But another program that I liked that we recently had lost would be our home ec, cooking, baking, things like that. I think that's a very good skill to have in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to definitely see that program come back.
Something that I think I would like to see more touched upon in the school, whether it be through a class or a program, if I could, would be some sort of more in-depth media literacy course. Something that, because if you look and you talk to people, and especially if you look online, you'll see a lot of times where the media, whether it be like articles or documentaries, movies, TV shows, whatever, you'll see a lot of times where it's very this general consensus is just people don't reading literacy, reading critical thinking in terms of media is kind of like on the downfall in today's age, and I feel like that's something that we could really work on, making sure that kids are able to look at a piece of media and really think about the meaning, just kind of go more in depth and instead of just kind of skimming the surface on it and getting the wrong idea.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with Ethan there. I think that's pretty vital for throughout your whole life, and I agree with Macy that Mrs. Yost, a lot of what she does teach throughout majority of her like classes is pretty substantial to your future.
Good. So I'm asking this question for me. All right. So as a superintendent, what would make Tyler County schools better for students? What could we do that we don't already do that would improve the school day, your post-graduation, employment? What, as a superintendent, what could I do to make this place better for students? Honesty is always the best solution.
I think maybe one thing that we could focus more on, being a senior in high school and having all these upcoming things after graduation to look forward to. I think we could maybe focus a little more on those because, in my opinion, like I know a lot about, like, yes, I'm going to college, so I need to get this, and this done. But I know students that are also in my grade and they're like, wait, what is this? Like, when do I need to have this done? When do I need to have this done by? So I think and I know like our guidance here, they focus on that and really try to help us. But I feel like that's something that we could build more on to make it a better system.
I would like to add on to what she said about the, and I've seen also as well with a lot of kids that it's no fault of their own, but they just, even if they're going to college, they don't know what they need to do, whether that be through just not knowing where to look or not having maybe like a support system around them that is able to kind of guide them. And I feel like making those opportunities to learn more, I don't want to say mandatory, but more prevalent and more pushed, because I mean we have a lot of time. We have had a lot of like college, what's the word? Like college representatives come in, and we've had a lot of meetings that have gotten like FAFSAs filled out for seniors. But I feel like something that might help is having those pushed more. Not for everybody, because of course there are people that won't go to college and they don't really need those as much. But for the people that do plan, I feel like it should be much more pushed than it is now.
But then, like, I feel like there may be some people, like, I'm like, hey, have you filled out your FAFSA? And they're like, well, we don't even know what our FAFSA is. And, like, to me, that's just something, like, instead of being like, hey, you need to fill out your FAFSA, we should be explained to what FAFSA is, what FAFSA does, and just simple things like that. And then even just looking on the opposite side of maybe you don't need to go to college. Maybe you don't need that college degree to do what you want. Just like little things like that.
So maybe like, for, seniors kind of have to know what you're doing, right? If you don't have an idea of knowing what you're going to do, then it's probably a good time to try to figure it out, right? So if we had a class, I think we could probably fill a class with, so we have a class that's for college-going students just to do these things, a period a day for 9 weeks or a semester. And those who are not, they could be doing things like resumes and the soft skills and things like that to get them ready to go out into the workforce. So, yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, I think that's something we could definitely build on.
Of course, it wouldn't have to be a one period a day every single day of the year. It could just be something as small as maybe once a week even. You get, like, say half the student body together and you go through, how to fill, what a FAFSA does, like how you, how you need to go about getting one, how you need to pay it off, kind of what you want to look at, maybe have. And then, like you said, I love the idea of having people that maybe are not going to college get the resumes done, because I know it's a thing in business. I want to say like intro to business or something, or financial, something with like finances is a class. I can't remember the name, but it's a thing you can do there. But I feel like that's something that needs to be much more widely taught, because it's not something that you might not do. You're gonna have to fill out a resume eventually. It's a fact of life.
And definitely, like, filling out scholarships and college applications, those are full-time jobs, let me tell you, because I am currently doing all of that, and it is no fun at all. But I definitely like if I had a class period a day where that's like what I was focusing on in that class, because I just get too distracted throughout my day.
I'm grateful that I have in the afternoons I have my college classes as well as a resource. So for those free periods, I'm very much free to be able to do these things, and I'm glad for it because that's when I fill out a lot of my scholarship applications. I go in and I look at colleges and I kind of figure out what I need to do in order to get where I want to be in life. And I'm glad to have that. But a lot of kids, especially if they maybe ended up not having like the credits they might need, they end up needing to take double science classes or doubling up on maths or Englishes or whatever. It's they don't have that opportunity. You know, it's very much they don't have the time to be able to get those things done.
Yeah, as a junior, this is a little more out of my ball field here, but like I am taking a college class. I take college history, and it's pretty tedious from time to time, but I try to stay on top of it, and I think it is pretty important. I wouldn't say like you have to do it, but like I think it's a good attempt. You know, it's good to try out to at least get in like the feel of like college stuff and definitely trying it out.
That is, yeah. And I mean, as somebody who worked on for 3 years, I did online schooling for high school, and I came in the second semester last year. I have a lot of experience doing like what we do with college classes, and it's similar in a lot of ways, but with college, it really does differ from high school in the sense that, especially like due dates and the fact that you don't have teachers reminding you of things. You have to be the person who you have to be the go-getter there that emails and figures out what they need to do, where they need to be, you know, what needs to happen. And something that I think is a skill that could you know, students really need to hone before they get into college, so they're not just hit in the face by all of the different changes that are going to happen and because like you see so many college kids, they get in there and then they get really crappy grades just because of the fact that, you know, they didn't realize it was going to be like this. They thought it was going to be more controlled, and it's not.
You definitely have to be very self-accountable when it comes to that. And that's bringing up like our new grading scale here at the high school. I think that's working very well considering that you have to put in the work. There is no cushion there anymore. And that's definitely, I think, going to help like us seniors going into college next year.
And I mean, I'll be honest, in terms of the grading scale, I'm mixed because on one hand, just looking at it logically, I think it's a really good step in the right direction because I've seen the grades that we've got, like the SATs compared to the people's grades, and it's a very big like disparity between the scores and the grades, and you can really tell that a lot of people are being held up by really small busy work. And I like not having to worry about busy work, but on the other hand, I was one of those people in math, so I feel the impact of that pretty directly, but at the same time, I can recognize that logically it is a benefit, and I know what I need to work on, you know? It's a mixed bag, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a really good step in the right direction for the school, and I'm glad we did it.
And just so the people who are listening know, we're moving more towards a standard-based grading system here at the high school, which is, it is taking away the fluff of assignments and things like that busy work, I guess you would say, and really making sure that students have an understanding of the concepts and standards that need to be taught in order for them to be successful beyond what they're doing in that class. So, you know, that's what they're talking about when we're talking about a new grading scale. And I do think that it's going to be very beneficial for our college-going students and those people who are going into trades, because you're not given a bunch of fluff when you're a plumber or an electrician. You can't just have fluff work as an electrician because you're going to get shocked. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to know what you're supposed to do in each situation. It can't be, you're not going to get a participation grade as an electrician or as a tradesman of any kind. In the same way in college, you know, they don't give you fluffy work there. So I think that's very important. So another hot topic that I wanted you guys to talk about with me, and it isn't on the script, so you're going to have to think about this one. So AI is a huge, huge, huge topic in education right now. I've talked about it a couple of times on previous episodes of my podcast. But so from a student's perspective, what does a school system need to do to make sure that students are educated in the uses of AI? What's okay? What's not okay? And where do you guys see this whole AI platform going in the next 10 years of your life?
I am going to be flat out and saying that I am very much biased against AI. So just keep that in mind with what I'm about to say.
Okay.
In that in my opinion, AI should not be allowed anywhere near education. Aside from knowing that it's a thing and knowing what to watch out for in terms of whether something is AI created. And the main thing behind that is when you look at an AI algorithm, like a learning algorithm, what what it does essentially is it steals other people's work and information. It goes online and it takes snippets and bits of information and articles that it's read, and it spits it out to you and mangles it. And to me, that is theft that's theft. And aside from the fact that I feel like it's a cop out of doing the actual work, it's just I disagree with it in terms of both ethicality and just opinion, really. I mean, I'm just not a fan of it.
No,
But again, that's just my opinion.
That's why we're here.
That's why I gave I am very much biased against it. That's just my thoughts.
AI it's a very broad term, and I feel like a lot of people misconstrue the conception of it, and like they'll mix it up a lot of the time. And I feel like it can be helpful, like in moderation, and like for example, Grammarly. There's parts of Grammarly that you want to avoid, but like just having it like spell check, that's very simple, very like there's nothing it can really do to like harm your work that you just spent so much time writing. And like that's what I'd say.
Okay, I'm going on the totally opposite side of this conversation, and technology is going nowhere but up from where we are right now. So I think in the educational world, we need to figure out the standards of AI because it's clearly not going anywhere. It's here to stay. And I feel like, yes, there may be parts of AI that are beneficial, but there is definitely parts of it that are going to harm education. And that even just comes back to technology in general. Like from when I was in pre-K to now, like technology in education has grown so far. So it's hard to tell, like when I have kids of my own in like 20 years, like where AI is going to be and how many jobs are going to be eliminated and stuff like that. But I definitely feel like we need to get our groundwork of where AI needs to be. But
I mean, we've like seen like it can really like strip people of their creativity and stuff.
Yeah.
And as somebody who is very much I mean, I love to write. That's what I plan on. That's what I hope I can do later in life, is to eventually become a full-time writer. That's my goal. But as somebody who does that, I think it does just kind of give me more of a predisposition to dislike it on the fact that it does steal people. And like you'll see, if you ask AI to write you a story, you can look at bits of that and you can put it back into there's generators you can use that can show you where it came from. And a lot of times it's people's work. And that's something that concerns me, is that it's so new that we don't have as many regulations surrounding it. It's not, I mean, it's you could look at somebody's work like 10 years ago, before AI became really really prevalent, and you could look at it and be like, even if it's fake, that this person stole it from someone, they stole it from someone specific, you can kind of piece that together. But with AI, it's taken from so many different places that it's hard to tell. And I mean, like with Grammarly, like I agree with what he says in terms of Grammarly being a very good tool to check your work. It's tedious work, which is what AI I think should be used for if it's any capacity. I feel like it should be used for the tedious work that you don't want to do. But the risk with those sites is that if you put work in there are certain clauses that you agree to that let them take that work and use it to train the AI. So that's something, and again, as a writer, that's just I'm sure that's not a problem a lot of people have with it, but that's just my general kind of take on it, is that I don't like to use certain things like that because I know that my work might be at risk.
Yeah. And so what I've seen as a superintendent and talking to teachers and staff members is the same thing I'm seeing with you guys. We have 3 people on this panel that are talking about AI, and we have three totally different opinions on what it should be and what it should look like. So as a superintendent, as a school system, I feel like it's important that we have policies in place to regulate the use. But when you have so many differing opinions as to what that policy should look like, it's almost an impossible policy to write. So I don't know. It's something that we have an AI task force here in the county as with teachers, and it's the same way, split right down the middle. You got this group that says exactly what you said. It's draining of us our creativity, and then we have another group that's saying, look what it can do for us. It's not going away. So. And I agree, and I think everyone can agree that it's not going away.
It's here to stay.
It's here to stay, and it is mind-boggling, and it's how fast it's grown, and what you can do with it now in just a short amount of time. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those videos on maybe YouTube or anywhere really that they have old AI videos that were created. I think one of them was with Will Smith maybe, and it was so grainy and so. He was so disformed, and now if you can watch, you can't tell if it's a real video or a fake video.
I mean, I've seen a lot of advertisements as of the last month or two that have been they have captions on the bottom that's AI generated. This isn't real; it's just fake to sell a product. But I've seen them, and usually before it was to the point where you could tell, like, hey, there was an extra finger, or the teeth were weird, the eyes were kind of weird. But they're scarily realistic, and I think that poses a big issue in terms of deep fakes of people, because when you have some, and like even like especially the older folk that may be online that may look at it and not even realize it's a AI is as big as it is. So when they see something that's AI created, even if to us it looks completely fake, they're not going to question it.
No, and I think that's a lot of a lot of our older generation who get on Facebook and they see these different things, and then
they don't realize that they don't have the idea that it could be fake. And to me, especially if you look at like how slow the legal system is to incorporate things like this, I can very easily see there being grand deep fakes of people in maybe like in terms of like evidence to a crime that they didn't commit, or
Identity
in terms
theft.
of in terms of stuff to kind of like stuff that might be inappropriate that people make from other people. I feel like it's a big hazard when it comes to safety. It's almost like before, like there were a lot of legal battles in like the 1920s in terms of being able to use somebody's likeness in advertisements without their permission. And I feel like we're back at this with AI, where we don't have those regulations in place, and it's like the Wild West. We don't have anything there to set guidelines.
I know, and it's like a super speed, hyper speed moving target because it keeps changing and changing and changing
every
and
day.
changing. So that was a great conversation. I think that adults and kids alike seem to have the same ideas. It's just trying to encompass all that into one policy has really been a struggle for Tyler County schools, and I'm sure it's a struggle all across the country for
Compromise with
educators.
everybody,
So
and you please nobody there.
that's right. So, all right, last question of the day. So where do you see yourself in 10 years? What are you going to do with your lives?
I see myself in 10 years, hopefully within the business administration in the healthcare system. That's where I think I want to end up, with a degree in that. And in 10 years, I'll be 28. So I hope to be probably married, have a nice car, hopefully a nice down payment on a house somewhere, and just pretty set up.
I'm kind of like Ethan. I want to be a writer, and like, I want to. Hopefully, the hope is that I can like be out in like nature or somewhere like peaceful and have a home, and really help me like resonate with my writing.
For me, because I know that, and in terms of being a writer, it's absolutely a feasible thing, but a lot of times it's going to take me a while to get to that point where I can do it. Like, my goal in the end, if I could choose to do one thing and not have to worry about money, I could feed a family, I could afford what I need to, I would choose to be a full-time writer. But my current goal is to go to college, get a master, get like a doctorate in English, and hopefully teach English or creative writing at a college level, and then go from there. And if I end up being lucky enough to get to get to the point where I can support myself and any possible family off of writing, then I'd love to do that. But that, and eventually, like he said, I would like to just kind of go out and live in the woods, maybe have a family, a dog, and just enjoy life.
I got you. Well, so that wraps up this episode of Voices from the Castle. I'd like to thank my three students here from Tyler Consolidated High School for coming in, and it was a great show. Great input from these three students here. And again, this is episode 5 of Voices from the Castle with your host, Shane Highley, Superintendent of Schools.